You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Boardwalk Empire After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Boardwalk Empire After Show.
It's like we're at a funeral, literally.
I mean, hello everyone. Welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV Boardwalk.
Okay, we have to get at least through the intro, Kevin.
All right, AFTERBUZZ TV Boardwalk Empire edition.
Season finale.
Season finale. Episode 12.
Farewell,
Season 4.
Daddy Blues.
Farewell, Daddy Blues. We knew we were.
That's Keven Undergaro, in case you're wondering.
Thank you. And who are you?
I'm Sara Stretton.
I'm over here. I'm Eboni K. Williams. What's up, guys? Yeah, so Kevin's struggling, as you can tell, because this was a really sad and almost unexpectedly sad episode.
Well, you guys are struggling too. It's not just me, right?
No, it is. It is. I'm actually shocked, but we'll get to some of the backstory as to how this went down, because I don't think this was just normal narrative.
I mean, I'm not saying it's bad writing.
No, it was a great
it's
episode. It was just sad.
Yeah, I think we're all just feeling very bummed, very drained. I feel like most season finales leave you at least pumped up or concerned, and this one was just like, ugh,
Let me tell you my theory on that.
taking punches.
On the better series, they don't all leave you pumped up.
Yeah, maybe.
The better series, I mean, the more amateur ones will build up a villain an entire season, then knock them down at the end and make you feel good. The better ones will do that, and then they'll skip a season, maybe two. Definitely a season, and then bring you back. I'm not saying this one's going to, because it could just be that total spiral out. I don't know. But I know with Jip, it was just so neat and clean. It was such a great.
It was what we wanted. It was what everybody wanted. Yep.
And it was so. I don't think they could give us that.
Tied up in a pretty bow.
I'm just saying, even a little bit more momentum to what's coming next.
Well, we got some. I mean, we know we're going to see more Jillian.
I mean,
we're going to see more
take
Narcisse.
your pick. I mean, there's plenty of places to go next.
Narcisse and Chalky will continue, as we saw.
I thought that a lot of the characters and like their final shots, we saw a lot of them not sitting in it, but just like sitting in their woes and troubles.
Yeah,
and that's why
but
I'm sitting in my woes.
leaving
and
you for
I
more.
Didn't see anyone, but I didn't see anyone get that gusto to fight.
Eli
or
did.
to go.
Eli's going to go. We're going to see a new chapter for Eli.
I mean, I think that they all could have new chapters, but they all could also just like, they were all in a position where I wouldn't be surprised if the next frame of them was them all drinking themselves like down the drain. And
what's exactly wrong with that, Sarah?
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not saying that
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I mean,
but the fact that all the characters kind of could be in that position, every single character we saw, like literally next time.
Yeah, but Chalky lost his daughter.
I'm not saying
Narcisse
they don't deserve
had
to
his
be.
balls
I'm
clipped
not
off.
saying they don't
Yeah.
deserve
I'm just
to
saying,
be.
like, go down the list.
But
Nucky
I'm
is
saying
stopped by
the reason
the
I'm-
feds. Eli killed a
The
fed.
reason I'm feeling drained and bummed out is because everyone is drained and bummed out. And
I'm only sad because of Richard.
I mean,
Richard will get killed.
I'm hysterical over Richard because, on a couple of levels. One, we're losing a great actor, a great character. Two, when you think of what that character went through, he was so close. He was so close to, like
having his
finally
happy ending.
having his peace. And we're gonna talk about it. We probably should just why don't we just start taking topic by topic. But it's funny. I
have one more overall thought though before we go topic by topic.
Feel free.
For the first time, I think this season though, I thought there were some very, very beautifully done and shot sections, but I was worried about it. They had so much to shove in this episode. The first half, I thought was going by too fast. I think we were getting scene after scene, 30 second, 30 second, 30 second, and it was too choppy
They
for
just
me.
had a lot to get in.
Yeah, and I know I think they had to, unless they had made it like a 2-hour finale. But it was a little too choppy for me.
Did you think that?
No,
Eboni?
I didn't think so. I appreciated the efficiency, but that's my personality. You know, I'm like, come on, let's get it done.
No, the reason I asked
Yeah.
is because as I've gotten older,
Yeah.
I've gotten so much more forgiving. I swear to God, I walk out of these movies like that was awesome, and then like people will be like, "Oh no,
They didn't get enough girth. Yeah.
This was not good. That wasn't good." And
I
like I said, I don't know if I'm
appreciate
just beat
that.
up and getting softer in my old age or what.
Yeah.
There's certain shows, Breaking Bad, Sons of Anarchy. I just go along for the ride because I trust so much.
There's so much credibility in the showrunners and the directors that, like you said, Kevin, I'll follow them wherever they take me.
Right, wherever they take
Yeah.
me, I'm in. I mean, whereas with Dexter, which early, I know I did a season of Dexter. It got harder and harder because I wasn't buying into the writing on that.
Yeah.
And but with these shows, I'm all in as a fan, and I just want to be taken on the ride. I want to enjoy the magic, and I don't. It's why a lot of these shows I don't understand. A lot of the podcasts that are out there that are so hypercritical. I'm like, well, why? If you're not a fan, why are you why are you covering the show? You know. So anyway, I'm enjoying the story. I'm clearly so moved by the characters. So I may be bummed, but this is all from a fan perspective.
Yeah, and I think we all, and I don't know who didn't love Richard Harrow.
You have some great, but Abby, you hit it on the head.
Yeah, the first, we were saying
onto the
before.
why. Yeah, but you hit it on the head as to the why, but we'll get into
We'll get to that.
All right,
Okay.
so Sarah, are we ready to start?
Yeah, now we're ready.
Okay, all right. Don't be like that. Come on.
We're good.
Okay,
we're good.
let's start with Chicago.
Sure.
And Van Alden takes a drink. So that's just another step he's taking.
I have to say, just in general, Van Alden's still looking better. Like he's just looking more polished,
he's a
a little.
gangster.
Yeah, this looks good on Van Alden.
Better than a nerd.
This looks good on him. Okay, continue.
No, you remember, like, okay, now the whole nerd thing is cool, but back then, no, being a gangster was cool.
Yeah, and it looks. I mean, he's still Van Alden, but it looks good on him.
Yeah,
I'm happy
and
for
when
him.
he takes that drink, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Where he's just going further into this. He's,
Yeah, he's almost all in.
And when you get someone like that who's so extreme, forget it.
Yeah.
But I think we talked about this in early weeks, why I buy into the way they're writing him, because I've often said that a lot of times, whether people are some of the most evil people we know, but then some of the most good people we know, it's just a matter of extremes.
Right.
Do you ever notice people who will reform? So someone's like a hardcore raging alcoholic, but then will flip the switch
and be super religious and super. Yeah, it's just it's an
I
essence
say it's
of
about-
fanatic.
Yeah. So
it's just that.
So speaking of someone, like I always went to Malcolm X, where he was one extreme and then he just went to the other. And I feel like with Van Alden, it's the same thing. He's just an extremist.
Yes.
So put him in the gangster world. He's going to be just a world-class gangster.
Yep.
Make him a cop. He'll be a world-class Fed.
Agreed.
And I think that's true to life. I think some of these prosecutors, Eboni, you would speak this, right?
I would say that 100%. And people are always so shocked when you can play it both sides.
By the way, just so most of you guys know this, but Ebony's an attorney, so that's why I throw it that way.
Yeah, I'm a lawyer, and what how they train us in law school is you've got to be able to as passionately argue each side. Like people don't understand this. They think that you have to be just like strongly convicted in the defense or the prosecution of somebody. No, to be the best lawyers can argue just as emphatically and just as passionate either side of the issue. And that's really what makes you a great litigator. Your ability to take the facts on this side or that side and be as zealous in your pursuit of either one, because ultimately they reach the same point, which is justice. And that's what we see with Van Alden. He's all in all the time, and that's why I love him.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now he takes this drink, and so to me it's like, oh boy, like he's just he's just only going to get stronger. He's now he's doing that. He's with Capone and them. We see Capone kind of and kind of giving the third eye to
Torrio.
Mm-hmm. Like maybe he was responsible for the shooting.
Yeah, for a
last
second
week.
it looked like that. Yeah.
he was suspicious of it, and
It's still all very suspicious to me. Even if it's not, it's still.
What's suspicious there? I'm not. Why? I'm not prosecuting you. I want to know. No, what?
I feel like everything I say.
No,
No, you guys
no. You
are-
offer so much good stuff
Amazing.
to us,
Yes,
Sarah.
come on.
No, I just thought that some of the writing there, like you said historically, like that Torrio was gonna go home. Like,
I
or
know.
go
by the way, and
back
I'm
to the
sorry.
country.
This
people
doesn't.
were
A
not
couple
happy.
fans have said, "Stop with the
historical spoilers.
Okay, so we don't know if this is going to happen or not. I'm going to stop them after. That's it. So,
And in all fairness, we never know how true to historical accuracy they're going to keep it. So that's
Right.
just my little defense for
Thank
Kevin.
So we
Go ahead.
we always knew that, and I
Thank you.
liked that.
my attorney. Go ahead, Sarah. Go ahead.
And I really did enjoy like how they positioned him to leave, with how he was shot so violently after with his wife and outside of his home. All of this I really loved. And then in the hospital as he's decked out in white. But the conversation they had where he's like, "I'm getting out of your way,"
'Cause he
it felt
knew.
very it felt very directed and very aware of the situation he was in, and just the conversation of him saying like, "You won," putting it back
I agree
to
with
him.
that. I agree with that, Sarah.
I agree with that. I think he was saying, "You want my job anyway. So whether it was you, whoever was involved in this, I'm out anyway."
Yep.
But either whether you did this or not, he knows you're the young buck coming up the ladder, trying to take my job, trying to knock off the alpha, and it's yours.
I'm bowing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down. Torrio bows out. That's what I call that scene.
Yeah.
Because that's what he did.
I'm always, what I always find interesting too is how in the 20s someone survives whatever it looked like 3,
It was
4,
like
5.
50 Cent, like 150.
Right?
Yeah, survived 9
But I'm
shots.
sure that was
Yeah.
accurate.
Yes.
And that's just kind of interesting that
Yeah.
you could survive that.
Yeah.
What, Sarah?
Nothing. Sorry.
What? Wait, are you in this funk over Richard or because of us?
Maybe I'm in the funk over the Richard. Maybe I'm in the funk. I don't know. It's like Torrio gets shot like 50 times with a guy 5.
I think it was 4 or 5 times.
I think it was like 5 or 6
Okay,
times.
I'm exaggerating, obviously. But like from, like 10 feet away, is that a good approximation? 12
But
feet
it does
away?
happen. I
Okay,
will
but
say
it
we know
does happen.
examples
Listen,
that people
it
survive.
It does happen, and I don't see.
I know, but in the same episode, we lose Richard to like one bullet from like downstairs. It's sad.
But someone can get killed with one
I
bullet,
know
Sarah.
that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna trust that the producers kept to the historical accuracy of how many times he got shot and from the distance.
It happens. It does happen.
It totally
Yeah.
happens.
I understand.
Do you not
that.
know the
It's
story
just
of Tupac?
bothersome.
I mean, come on,
No,
Sarah.
I know a guy who was shot like 7 times. I'm not even kidding.
The worst
Yeah.
is that last picture of Tupac when he's in the
Yeah.
car with Suge Knight,
And,
and did you think he had fear in his face? Because I did.
No.
The last picture. Not that it has anything to do with this, but if you guys
Yeah,
get a
side
chance,
note.
look
That's
at
why I'm
Google last photo of Tupac with Suge, and it just looked like he was like, "What's about to happen?" Anyway.
Could be. Yeah.
Anyway, now
All right.
now we see. Finally, it's all lined up for Al Capone to become Little Caesar, to become
Step into his big boy boots.
Yeah,
Yep.
to be the king. We've waited many seasons.
I hope he
for
cleans
this.
up a little bit next season.
He will.
Okay.
I'm predicting that, guys. I'm not. This is not.
I'm tired of these sniffles. It's
This
just,
is not a
yeah.
prediction. I mean, this is not a spoiler. I don't know for a fact. I'm guessing that he's going to have to fill those shoes, behave a little more sophisticated.
Yes. There's responsibilities with leadership, and I think that is what I've appreciated more or less from Nucky all series.
Right.
The couple of times we see him slip out of that, even it struck me today, the beginning of the episode when he was on the season. This episode opens with him on the phone with Sally, and the only thing I can think of, once again, distracted by game, hollering at the chicks.
God, that's
you
me.
know,
That's my life.
and you're missing the big stuff, and it happens
really,
every time.
I'll tell you, it's really hard. There's actually a book. There was a book that was published. Steven, this is good for you to know. 'Cause Steven's in the booth because you're in your early 20s.
Yeah, young guy.
And when you're a young guy, I tell you, when you're a guy, like, I swear to God, in your 20s, forget it. Your mind, most of us just minds is short. So unless you're Phil Svitek, who runs the network, who's just an anomaly.
I just love Phil.
Right, but Phil's just whatever because he's a prodigy. But the rest of us, like Steven, he's wired like I was. He's just out of his mind.
Right.
Because your mind is just
You can't help it.
That's all you're thinking. That's all you.
Yeah.
But there was a book that was published. Like if you can get that out of your mind, your business will be so much more successful.
Well, it's like Chris Rock. I mean, I don't think
not
Chris Rock
think about
originated,
women
but yeah,
or sex. Just
you
sex,
will never,
gay or
you will
straight, sex.
never lose a woman thinking about money, but you'll lose a lot of damn money thinking about women, and that's just the truth of the matter.
It's so true. It's so. What, Sarah?
Sarah, it's true.
Why are we
Look,
from another planet?
I'm a little older than Sarah, so I can tell you this: look for a man who's thinking more about his money than even you.
This
It's
is
true.
not what I'm laughing about.
What are you laughing at? Thank you, Stephen. Why are you laughing, guys? It's a season finale. We have a little room to breathe. Okay, these people, none of our fans are going to hear from us for another 6 or 7 months.
That's exactly what I'm laughing about. Is that we're on the season finale. It's like, guys, now it's time to express what we think about life because we can't talk.
Well, no. It was
time.
rooted in a place
That's
where I
right.
thought about Nucky. Really, truly, that was my first thought. Like, get off the damn phone with Sally, Nucky. Pay attention to your business.
It's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I know, but all right. So I used Stephen and myself as.
So far, we've got Steven, we've got Phil, we've got Tupac, we've got a
myself,
book.
right? Yeah, all right.
It's been 15 minutes.
All right, we're back. We're back. Here we go.
We're back. Okay.
We're back. Let's talk about Jillian.
Yes.
Now, speaking of women who've used,
Can I just say the brilliance of
power.
Jillian, though, in the fact that she points to exactly what I would have pointed to if I was defending her in a court of law, corpus delicti. That is a Latin phrase that says, show me the body.
God,
I
love Eboni.
It is
We're so lucky to have you.
I love you guys.
But you're right. But no,
really,
because most murders, if you do
you
not
can-
have the body, right?
You have no case, more or less, with the exception of a few recent cases. But especially back then, my goodness, you have no body. That's definition
right.
of
No
reasonable
DNA.
doubt.
There's nothing, right?
Absolutely. So she's right. And Richard, yeah.
And it was so interesting that she was in this episode at all. I was shocked.
And
I was shocked they brought her back.
And I think most interesting that again this season and in past seasons, but we're seeing in this season we've talked about the power of women.
Yes.
The power of women on this series, and the power of women, ironically, in the 20s. So for Jillian to be the one, and when she said that, that's what I said. I'm like, you know what?
They do have a resilience in
no
this
body,
show.
no case.
No
Sorry,
body, no
that
crime.
even exists today. But
Yes,
back then,
corpus delicti. Yeah, Scott
and-
Peterson barely got prosecuted for that very reason.
because no body.
Yep.
And so they're pulling her out like, all right, shh, because they wanted to wrap it up. But you saw like the liberal press started writing things down.
Yeah, way to go, and cheering for her when she says, why does a man get to do anything he wants?
Right. And so I wrote down old Jillian. So all the things we saw Jillian be this amazing survivor.
Yes.
She got a little weak and again, talk about negative reinforcement. So when she actually becomes honest and
is vulnerable. Yeah.
it blows up in her face. So now if she pulls this off and gets out of this, she's going to be
We'll never see her like that again.
That's right. And more committed than ever to just being evil.
Cunning.
Yeah.
And I think that what we're going to get is eventually Jillian's going to have to come up against another woman. I think that's her next plight.
I think it's Tommy's new mom. I think.
agree.
Yeah, and she's strong
It's
enough.
Richard's
Exactly.
sister.
Yeah.
Because of
Richard's
her last
sister.
line on this.
Great prediction because I think it will
like
be.
that.
It's going to be Richard's sister.
They're going to go
who-
toe to toe.
She's ready to hunt.
Yep.
But I see Jillian. Yeah, I see. When I saw the camera pull away from Richard when he was on the stand, and you saw his face get nervous. It was like, oh my God, we thought we had this in the bag with Jillian. And she spun it on us, and you saw his face get nervous. And then when the director panned away, dollied away, I said, "Oh boy, we're in trouble."
Yeah, there was some really
We're
good
in
direction
trouble.
in this episode, actually.
Yeah.
I don't remember a poorly directed episode of this series.
No,
but some are better than others.
Yeah.
Was it? You know what? I didn't notice. I usually notice. Was it my guy Tim Van Patten who directed this one, being the finale? I wonder. Steven, maybe you can look up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Knox and Hoover. I mean, it just.
I don't know how much further Hoover is going to go in putting this, emasculating the hell out of Knox. Director Hoover, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
To me, it seemed like two latent homosexuals.
Yeah, it was. It was a pure, unadulterated pissing contest.
And who even knows their past? Who even knows, like...
Which, I mean, historically, this is not a spoiler, that has been rumored, that Hoover was certainly engaged in homosexual lifestyle. I mean, it's been a lot said about Hoover, but yes.
You want another stupid Keven Undergaro theory that everyone can hate me for?
Please.
I think that sometimes when you can't be, you're not allowed to be who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're in a society that does not allow you to be gay.
Right.
I mean, we're just now having people be allowed.
More or less. I mean, there's
more
still
or
places
less. That's right.
Yeah.
Plenty of places.
Yes.
That will not allow you to be gay. So go back to the 20s. You're not allowed to. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, it translates over to you're not even allowed yourself.
There you go.
Okay.
It was Tim Van Patten. I thought so. Yeah, I knew he'd take over for the finale.
Yeah.
But you're not even allowed to even think it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine when you bury that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like there have been actors in the past who've been accused of being gay. I don't know if they are or they aren't,
mm-hmm.
but I've noticed that some of the ones that I've known
mm-hmm.
put more time and effort into their craft.
Yeah.
And they just don't date at all.
Yeah.
Because they put all their energy into their acting.
Yeah.
You know, because they know if they
know what that reception is going to be like and feel
them.
like. Yeah.
They almost don't even want to admit it to themselves. So
Yep.
then all the energy again goes into an extreme.
Yep.
So with a Hoover or
mm-hmm.
maybe a Knox, what I love about the writing is like those characters. I'm just guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Are repressed homosexuals,
Hoover,
and so instead of acting on that
mm-hmm.
or just having a healthy life where they are able to love their fellow man, they bury that,
mm-hmm.
and then the intensity, the angst, the extremism,
hypermasculinity,
goes into their work, and that's why I Hoover, I thought, was so dangerous because he was...
And it's so crazy because, I'm just going to say this, there is a theory that Hoover was actually African-American. And so there, and this is controversial and whatever, but that's out there. And that is the irony in his harsh attack.
I never heard that before, but by the way,
it's out there.
People have said that Adolf Hitler has a little bit of Jewish blood.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that just makes more of that anger and self-hatred.
Yes.
Oh my God, I never heard that about Hoover.
Yeah, Google it. It's out there. I mean, again, I can't verify
but by the way,
mm-hmm.
makes perfect sense
mm-hmm.
that now we see who his targets are.
Yes.
He's like, at first he was into the whole organized crime thing,
mm-hmm.
but he's like, nah, you know what? I'm more into this.
He's really anti these black folk.
Right.
Yep.
No, the colors are getting too powerful, and I'm going to base my legacy on this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to wrap them up. But we see he and Knox go at it, and Knox calls him out. You're jealous. You never wanted this for me, blah, blah, blah. You will call me Director Hoover.
Yes.
Out we go.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about Nucky and Chalky. So Nucky, as you said, is on the phone with Sally, being too much into the
woman stuff.
Lady folk.
Mm-hmm.
Into the escaping.
And up comes Team Chalky.
Mm-hmm.
And Sid, of course, is just like white as a ghost. And he marches him in.
He's so not cut out for this.
Yeah,
line
he's
of
so
work.
not cut out for
It's so bad.
And the exchange between Nucky and Chalky also bums me out because I love when those guys work together.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting in production design to see Chalky's outfit.
Yeah.
It was almost silly.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I'm having to wear another man's clothes. I think it was on purpose.
Yes.
Again, talk about emasculation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Every reason in the world to just want to kill Nucky. And go ahead.
I have to make a comment about Chalky's use of the N-word in this scene because recently there's just been a lot in pop culture. Matt Barnes of the LA Lakers has tweeted out this word, and he's been
Did you see the Barkley response?
Yes.
Oh, tell me. Wait. So this is interesting. Tell me what. So Sarah, you're not familiar with this?
Nope.
Okay, just give her context, Kev.
Okay, so Matt Barnes tweets out about he's tired of standing up for his other teammates, and N-words have to back up themselves, right?
Yes,
or something like that.
Yes.
So Charles Barkley, that was kind of big news, but it seemed like the bigger news was Barkley.
The Barkley response, yeah, because he's a much bigger celebrity than Matt Barnes,
right?
Yeah.
And Barkley says something to the effect of.
I think it was something to the effect of like we can. Within our community, that word is used. It was more or less, to me, I read it as a permission slip from Charles Barkley to say, we use that term. It's used in the locker rooms,
right?
Whatever.
He said, but you know, if a white person would say it to me or something like that, then I'm offended. But it's like, but some of my other friends say it, and you know, that's how we talk to each other.
That's what he said.
So, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm probably taking this out of I heard it once. It was like 3 a.m. I heard it like I'm listening to repeats all night long. So, but anyway, so Eboni, like I need the translation from you. Like,
I mean, my interpretation, and of course, I'm just one black woman, can't speak for the entire race. I called BS on Charles Barkley's response.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I'm from the South, and yes, I've heard the term. I've heard it used intra our community, and I've heard it used externally. And I don't buy this argument that we as black people are now taking this term and extracting power from it, and now it's okay to be used colloquially amongst ourselves. No, that's BS, because the word still has the power to ignite anger and hurt and pain.
It's literally like, you know, Kiefer Sutherland actually said this, but it's the ugliest word.
I think it's the ugliest word in the human language. Period.
In the English language. I don't know other languages, but I would say, you know, that's the word that you just...
Yeah, I don't think it equates it. And I think we saw that. And yeah, this is and there's this whole conversation about the historical use of the term in the modern day. I don't feel like there's a difference. But we see the way Chalky uses it in the scene. He says, is Narcisse your new N-word?
N-word, right.
And then when Nucky rejects that notion,
he said,
so then you're his new N-word. And so that lets you know the meaning behind the power shift in what an N-word always is. Subordinate.
I've had some people call me that.
Somebody called you an N-word?
Yeah, no, I have a couple people
like my N-word, like you're cool.
No.
They're stupid. Have them call me. I'll check them.
And one of the people does. He's older and he's well older than all of us. And I go, okay, like I don't know what to say. Like,
God, I was just smacking him. I wish I could see him. But anyways, yeah. So that was profound.
That was amazing.
It was amazing, and it was very, very telling. So I just had to have a little minute about that. Yep.
With Nucky's response,
because we don't hear that word very much. I'm sorry to cut you off, Kevin. We don't hear that actual word that much in this series, considering the time period that this is filmed in the United States.
And it seemed like at that time, it was probably more freely used.
Yes, of course it was.
It wasn't as powerful.
Of course it was. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's why that's why I had to talk about this was very intentional by the writers. This use of the way Chalky used it. It was very intentional, because Nucky could be using that word all the time, but we don't hear it from him, and it's for a reason. And he didn't even say, he said spook, he said coon. He didn't say that word, and those were not good words.
Yeah, has Narcisse used that word?
Yes.
Yeah, he used it in this episode, I believe.
And I think he's used it before.
Yeah.
So,
as well.
But always very pointed use. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Chalky?
I believe in his conversations with Chalky specifically.
When Nucky has his exchange with Chalky, do you guys think that Nucky was always team Chalky and he just had like a long-term plan, or was he just going with the flow and saying, okay, I'm with you, Narcisse, now. I was with you, Chalky, when it was convenient.
I think that this goes down to who Nucky is, and I think that you can tie it into his end conversation when he's in the car talking to Willie, where it's like he tells people you don't really know.
Okay, we got to get there, because that to me was so. I wanted to ask you guys what that means. That could mean one or two things.
Yes, it does.
But I think that yes, Nucky is not a Boy Scout. He doesn't take things too personally. However, I feel like Chalky's a better business partner than Narcisse, end of story, and that's why he was gonna work. He would rather prefer to work with Chalky.
I think he was always.
I think so too, and I think that Nucky does develop this kind of dysfunctional family, where, as much as he does change his phrasing of who Chalky is to him in this episode, whether it's a friend or a partner or a spook or whatever, I think that underneath it, just as he says that Eli is his brother, he does care about these people.
I think he does too.
And I think that he functions on this duality between caring about these people who he has business relationships with and being a good businessman. And you see it with Sally as well. I think he does really care about her, but she's a business partner as well. And I think that typically he tries to arrange the game so that he can put the people he cares about in like good positions, in good business positions. But he tries to make them work together. I don't think he often is choosing which. What is going on? Are you laughing at how
it's like, if you guys, this is how excited Sarah is for the show. Sarah, it's like you're not even sitting all the way on the chair.
I'm
She's
half standing.
You're half standing. Like, why? Okay, I get it.
Why am
I want to point it out to our iTunes listeners.
Yeah.
I actually probably would be standing if I could be standing, but that'd be weird. So I'm half sitting right now. Anyway, now you got me distracted. What was I gonna say?
Well, I'll say this. I'll say that I believe that Nucky was always team Chalky. Not necessarily. I think he cares about him a little bit, to be honest with you. I believe he cares about him as much as you guys do. I think he believes he's more trustworthy and more loyal to him.
I think he's a better partner.
I think he's a better partner and he's a better asset. I think he doesn't trust Narcisse at all.
Right. No, Narcisse is
and you shouldn't.
She's batshit crazy.
Right.
He's a better partner. No, I think... Yeah, listen, Nucky is, I think it's business with a little bit of heart.
Yeah.
He's with everything.
Yeah.
He's business with a little bit of heart, which is why we end up loving him.
Yeah.
I think, and why we root for him.
Yeah.
I never bought when he shot Jimmy and he said, you're right, I don't care, basically. You can't be half a businessman or whatever. And he just was like, I don't care, and he blew his head off. I don't know what the writers were thinking at that time. Maybe they wanted to go off in that direction. I never bought it.
And I thought it was authentically. Yeah.
I never thought it. I think he struggles with.
Yeah.
I think that was a dark moment.
Yes.
I don't think that's who he is.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it was a dark moment for him.
Yeah.
I think that today today we dealt with him in some very scary and bad situations, particularly with Eli. But I don't think he's in that same place that he was with Jimmy.
Yeah. And I think he was playing Narcisse the whole time, for the record. That whole...
Who's that?
Nucky.
So let's talk about Nucky and Narcisse. Now, their meeting. Now, they throw the mayor out. Great line from Nucky saying, basically, I'm going to have your job, too, if you don't get out of here.
Yeah.
He throws him out. And then Narcisse, same thing. Get out of here. Mm-hmm. So, interesting that, black man throws out the mayor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Narcisse has made it clear from day one he's not an ordinary black man.
That's right.
That's his life goal, in fact, is to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that everybody he comes across understands I am not your typical colored man, period.
Right. So then they have, Nucky and Narcisse have their exchange. And when Nucky says that line about, I don't want that spook.
I never bought it.
What'd you say, Eboni?
I never bought it. He didn't believe that. That was game. That was Nucky running game on Narcisse.
And he ran it well.
And he ran it very well because I think Narcisse bought it because he gave it context.
Narcisse said, I've heard everything I need to hear, or something like that. I forget. I just wrote in parentheses, we understand.
Yeah, because Nucky's saying everything that Narcisse wants to hear. Look, I don't care about you people. The only thing I have in common with you and your people, I don't care who runs Onyx Club. I have no preference. The only thing I care about is that the dollar is green or whatever, that we all understand the worth of the dollar. It's BS. Of course, he has a preference as to who's running the club. And it's, again, to your point, Keven, it's not because I like Chalky better. It's he's better for what I'm doing.
Better businessman.
Yeah, of course.
Better partner. And I do think he likes him, but
I do. That's a byproduct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's extra.
But
and I don't think it's as much a byproduct, but that's just my
no. I want to hear.
opinion.
I want to hear why. Can I say one thing?
Go right ahead.
It was interesting when he said the spook line. If it was game, and I think you're right, it was. It worked because Narcisse's face, he just made the smile like, that's right.
Now you see him, because that's how Narcisse sees Chalky. He
right.
sees him as an N-word.
He's a piece of shit.
Yep.
And who just wants to make money on all of us. But you know what? Fine. For the greater good, I'll do business with you for now.
Right.
Wipe out this other guy, Chalky, for me. But I know who you are. You're just you're just like every other white person. You're a racist piece of crap. And you know what? I'll just deal with you later.
Yep.
So, Sarah, what were we going to say?
I know. She just mentioned where these people lie in Nucky's order of importance. And if their caring relationship or friendship comes as a byproduct of just the business, I think it's more than that. I think that it's not a sideline. I think the two run parallel.
I agree.
And go back and forth. When we see this conversation between Narcisse And Nucky, I compared it to the conversation we saw maybe 2 episodes ago, in like the war memorial shelter thing that Chalky was hiding in, and where we really got the deep conversation about business, about what's happening next, the planning between them two. And there's just such a more honest and open and business balanced with friendship, advice balanced with planning setting. So I think
that's
that they
true,
do.
Sarah.
I think they work. I think they work.
I hope you're right.
If from Nucky's perspective, you might be right, but I'm just going to tell you the truth. If this was really going on back in the day, when you're dealing cross-racial, there's just, at this particular time in history, it's always going to be an underlying suspicion. It just has to be that way.
Well, I'm saying, and I think
from Chalky's perspective.
On Chalky's perspective, I do not think he wants to be friends with Nucky at all.
Yeah.
But I don't think the same about Nucky. I think he's trying to stick through with this friendship. I think Chalky.
No, I think Chalky.
Oh, another story.
No, right now, but Chalky, I think, did want to be. No, he wanted to be his friend. I think Chalky was trying. It's just
Chalky's just losing everything one by one. Betrayal, friendship, love, family,
But I think initially, and all the seasons up to now, he did. He liked him.
Chalky's going to the dark side.
Yeah, well, now he is. He's lost. I agree, Kevin. I think he liked him. I think it worked. Again, when you're dealing with the power dynamics also, even looking back on last week's episode when Chalky's mentor was speaking about his relationship to the Commodore, that power play.
It was the same thing,
yeah, the same thing. I got what the Commodore let me take, so it's always just that. That's all I'm saying. It's just always that interplay.
And by the way, historically, it kind of is that way, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's black on the stage, white in the house. In other words, so you'll get your money for dancing on the stage, which is good money, but you're not getting the house money.
Right. And that's, again, where Narcisse becomes even more dangerous to Nucky's existence, because he's not someone that understands
and we see,
and wants
listen,
to
we see it in our business today,
Yep.
unless you're Oprah or Tyler Perry, we see a lot of that today. So it's just interesting. So Nucky and Eli and Willie
make an exchange. Oh, sorry.
So
I was still on the other thing. I totally thought we were going Nucky and Narcisse.
No, go ahead. So
I thought we have to lead into the actual Onyx Club and what went down.
Oh, okay.
Are we going to do that later?
We can do that later.
I was going to do it later, but I was going to do the shooting toward the end because there's so much comes out of that shooting.
All right.
So, Nucky, Eli, and Willie get, Eli comes up to the house. Nobody's there. The hotel's empty. Out comes his gun and put the gun away, says Nucky, and it's once again the two brothers get together and let it all spill out.
And this was such a wonderful scene.
It was.
Visually, verbally, well written, well shot. I loved it. Especially just the introduction of seeing the battle between brothers, father, son. I really loved this scene.
This scene did also show me why Nucky is always the one that comes out on top in terms of business and smarts. Because how stupid are you, Eli? When your brother calls you up and tells you to come pick him up, what's up. So it's like either he knew and just went into it as a man to just accept the consequences.
He was just he was screwed no matter what he did. He kind of knew. He's like, why don't we have...
So he knew.
The previous scene with Eli at his house, we were talking about that ghost-like instrument, that one, and it was making those ghost sounds. Just interesting. I just want to mention that. Eli and Willie. Willie was like, what's up with Uncle Nucky? He's like, how's that your concern? But it was just, again, I thought great score, great moment. I don't know the name of that instrument. I've seen it before. Yeah. But the sound, Sarah, you said it's almost ghost-like, and it's like, why are you saying that? I mean, somebody's gonna die. We see a great. Here's why I think that don't rule out Chalky going so to the dark side. Don't rule out Chalky being and his friendship with Nucky being redeemed.
Okay.
Do not rule that out, because we've seen what we saw from Eli and Nucky earlier seasons.
Come back. Yeah.
They were like blood enemies. Then they came together. Tonight he's about to die, but when Eli explains it all, Nucky was I feel like Nucky was like, I get it.
Yeah.
You should have just taken it on the chin yourself, Eli. And here I am. I'm the bad guy. Like, it's your son that killed a kid in a college stunt. I put my neck out to save him. Now I'm in this mess, but I'm the bad guy. You know, but at the same time, I feel like it wasn't a greedy, jealous Eli who did this. It was he was trying to save his son, and I feel like Nucky empathized with that.
I do too.
I agree.
Well,
And
when
I-
he
I
called
don't
him
think
out,
that-
yeah.
Yeah.
Which
On the
thank God
family
Willie
issue,
came in.
yeah. On the family issue, though, I think that's really what all this. We all can go back to all the stuff we know in seasons past, with the father and the house burning down, and Nucky striving for family. He tried to buy a family, if you will, with Margaret and her kids, and it's like Eli did say correctly. You'll never fill that void. And
By the way, and I agree with him.
Yep.
Do you think that if Willie doesn't come in, Nucky kills him, or was Nucky just making a statement trying to get information?
He wasn't
Sarah,
gonna
you
kill
shaking
him.
it?
I completely don't think that Nucky was going to kill him.
No.
Not only because of the conversation at the end, but also because, to me, he had full opportunity to do it right away. Especially when Eli did come in with his gun pulled, and you kind of saw someone around the corner. And it
you
looked
saw
like,
a hand, yeah.
Yeah, and you knew someone was ready. And if he really wanted him killed, I don't think he needed to wait that long. I don't think he needed to push him that hard. I think he was trying to prove a point, trying to scare him, trying to...
Or get information.
Yeah. Like, it's the same as... If he was really that angry, he could have shot him on the porch. He could have shot him before I let him in the house, but he went all the way through the motions trying to get him down to his knees. Like, I don't think he was ever going to shoot him.
And going fast forwarding to your points there, when we get to the car, he tells him basically, I'm not actually that guy. If you really knew me, you'd know he's your father. He's my brother. I'm not that guy.
I'm not the person you think I am.
Right.
Yeah.
So my question was,
who does Willie think he is?
does he mean I'm not? Is it I'm not the bad guy you think I am, or I'm not the candy ass you think I am? I'm not nice Uncle Nucky you think I am.
Oh, see, I guess I took that line as
No, I didn't know. I felt it was
took
very
that line
ambiguous.
much bigger. I
Okay.
didn't take it just to be Willie. I think that as a person, Nucky has this depiction, this picture of how the whole world sees him. And I don't think he's that person. Like, a lot of people come for him to help for the only way out as this businessman, as this ruthless guy who looks at everyone as a partner, not as a friend. And I think that who he is, who he's striving for is, he does want this void filled. He does want this family. Part of him wants to be in Cuba with Sally. Like, I think that's more of what he was talking about. It's more of what people think he's capable of and what he thinks he's capable of. And sometimes he has crossed that line, like with Jimmy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then Jimmy, yeah.
But that's how I took that. I think it was directed at Willie, and especially since they're sharing that moment and they have the same, gold cigarette token and just the symbolism of Nucky's being completely empty and him going to Willie for a cigarette when it used to be the other way around. Just the passing of the torch and them coming together. But I do think that was a bigger picture line than just at Willie.
I loved when he just told he came to me because I'm the one who could help him.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't be able to help him. Exactly.
Yeah.
Before we get to Eli Knox, we have to mention that Jimmy's body is uncovered.
Yeah. Yeah, they found it.
Well, Nucky gave the
Yeah.
info
Oh,
to...
yes.
Yeah.
No.
And I was gonna say,
Richard.
yeah, that's another example of Nucky. And that's why I took the line to mean that I'm not the bad guy. I'm not as ruthless as you think I probably am, and as I probably make a good job and good faith effort to portray myself to be. Because he very easily could have told Richard, "Go F off."
What does finding that body do for Jillian's case?
Oh, she's guilty
Oh,
now. Because now there is a body. Now we know where Jimmy is, so we know Jimmy was not in the bathtub.
And it destroys her whole story.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It proves that she's been lying.
It proves that you did not. That was not Jimmy that died of a heroin overdose in your bathtub.
And her
Because
whole
Jimmy's in the
excuse
field.
about how she was
Is-
tricked and how she
Yeah.
was sad.
She said she was in love.
Yeah.
Is that why during the final montage she's crying?
Yeah.
It's been revealed to her?
Because now she knows she's actually
I
going to
think
jail.
it's also part of, and I think it's even more. I mean, I think that she's always just said that Jimmy's lost.
Right. I was going to say, and
I
she
don't
now has to
think she
deal with the
ever
fact
really-
that Jimmy's
really
really dead.
Gotcha.
knew.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Wow.
I mean, I think she obviously had a suspicion. She's a smart woman, but that gives you no
The body
doubts
is
when they're
closure,
like, that
yeah.
is.
Are we not seeing her anymore?
Yeah.
She's
of course
done?
we are.
Yeah,
No,
we're seeing her again,
we're seeing
right?
her again.
Okay.
They wouldn't have brought her back just for that one snippet in court, I don't think.
So Eli and Knox, amazing battle.
Amazing.
Wow, like that's why it's
Cringe.
just even to direct a fight scene, it's hard.
Yeah.
And these fights, going back to the
Pernsley
Chalky
and
fight.
Chalky
Chalky
fight.
fight was
Yeah.
this was twice that I
Yeah,
thought.
I thought so too.
A crazy ass fight between the two of them, and I didn't know who was coming out of this.
I didn't know who was coming out either, and I thought that we were going to get a savior coming in.
I did too. I thought the wife, but I guess she's stupider than I thought. But yeah,
She's no daughter.
she's no Margaret.
She's no Margaret.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for Mr. Knox.
Goodbye.
Yeah, thank goodness. And I liked that it was Eli that did it, and I liked that Eli did it with his bare hands as opposed to a gun or anything else. It just showed the personalness of.
Choking him by the collar.
Yep.
What?
I thought that was very
Shutting him
interesting.
up.
And whatever happens, the FBI finds out about it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking somehow they'd be able to get rid of the body or whatever, but
No, you're not. Not the feds, Kev. You can't
Yeah,
get
you
you
can't.
can't get it
Even
up on the
then,
feds.
no.
Yeah,
They're
no.
in a tricky situation. There are. I mean, just how, for instance, Edgar Hoover was I was getting a little bit confused on how he was translating this with Narcisse and how agents and Garvey and bringing all these stories into one.
Listen, we're going to get them. We're going to do the shooting, and then we're going to talk about when he takes in Narcisse. But with Eli and Knox, I think this clears. I think things are going to be okay between Eli and Nucky because he did the job for his brother, right?
Yeah.
He killed this guy. He's a threat, right? Mm-hmm. And Nucky understands what he was doing for his son. Mm-hmm. Oh, Sarah, you're not as.
I mean, nothing ever happens that cleanly. Like,
well,
you
no,
can't
I
be
mean
all
he's
peachy
now a
keen.
man on. No, he's on the lam now, and we know he gets delivered to Van Alden. They called Chicago,
Which is
and
so
said,
interesting.
"You can have a good
Yeah.
guy come work for you." He must have called Al. Now we know Al's in power, so it's going to be interesting to see how Eli and Van Alden get along.
Oh, and they're
Famously, I'm sure, right?
and they're setting up the cards. They're setting up the cards for all this. Think about it. You've got Narcisse now with Edgar in, Washington or wherever. We also have What's-Her-Face in Washington, who we haven't seen in a couple episodes, who was brought in this season. She knows who Van Alden is. Van Alden's gone in hiding. Now we've got Eli and Van Alden in hiding. So both of them are going to want a window to the good side.
And by the way,
to be, cleared.
Oh,
of
they're
working for
everything.
the feds. Yeah.
And they each could be each other's window. Like, both of them are wanted.
Yeah.
And now they're in the same situation.
so they could get together to clear themselves,
Or they could go against each other to clear themselves.
right?
There's a lot there. They're totally just
Or they
putting
could
in.
fall in line and help Al go to power, rise to the power we know he's going to rise to.
We'll find out.
Okay,
But there's a lot there. There's a lot of opportunity.
let's talk about the meeting between Chalky and Narcisse finally, and we see Chalky's guys come in again. I've been saying it from day one, but they're all even their
They've got
outfits are just
skills.
all. Who's got skills?
Chalky's guys.
Why do you say that?
Why do I think they've got skills?
Yeah.
I mean, the two times we've seen them recently, they kind of turned down their enemy in one fell swoop quite easily.
They got in quietly to Nucky. You're right, but I'm saying
and they really
production design wise, they're in.
They're homely.
Yeah, they're not. They're in lower class suits
Yes.
and outfits still, and there's Narcisse in the tux. His people all in tuxes. Just very interesting. So they have the sit down, and at first, Narcisse is like, "Why do I need you? You're a beaten man." Well, I've got daughter Maitland. Oh yeah, well basically let's just cutting to the chase because I know we're 48 minutes in now. He's like, "Yeah, well I have your daughter."
That was sad.
And so Richard appears, and we're so excited.
Yep.
And then we see he's having problems with his trigger finger.
Is that's a mental thing though, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's mental.
Yeah.
I think that's him going back to where he
definitely think
couldn't
it's
shoot the
mental.
dog. Yeah. Still not fully Richard, as we know and love him.
And he had a beat on Narcisse.
Yep.
And by the way, so before that, he says goodbye to Tommy. He says, "I love you." And when she says, "I'll see you in 3 days," or he says, "I'll see you in 3 days," I was like, okay, that's
I
it.
was like, yeah.
3 is very biblical, the Trinity, the whole thing. I said, guys, that he's in trouble.
Say goodbye.
Say, you know,
I didn't want to believe it.
To which she responds, "I will hunt you down."
and I will hunt you down. And so, you know what? Does that mean she will fight for his memory?
She's gonna fight for
She'll
something.
fight for Tommy. I think that's honestly the only thing she.
I mean, she kissed him. It was a real kiss.
Yeah. Well, I bought their love story a while back. though.
I did, but
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever, well, he kissed once at the dance, but this was, and he stepped up and did it.
Yeah.
It was like, and the fact that he said, "I love you" to the son, to Tommy, it wasn't, it was beautiful.
In the very brief glimpses we've gotten of them two together, I feel like they really did make their love sink in, like straight through. I think that they're one of the most believable loves on this entire show.
I agree.
When, going back to the prosecution, it was an interesting choice of prosecutor. Did you see his face was disfigured too?
Yes.
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 It was very interesting. And the Dutch shot of Richard, if you see it again, it's a Dutch is obtuse. It means when it's not when the angle of the shot is not straight, it's a little bit off, a little skew. It usually means that something's wrong. And the shots on Richard were like that, so it kind of foreshadowed what was gonna happen. And of course, his trigger
He
fingers.
was off keel, and so was Knox.
Knox. Yeah.
How's Knox off keel?
There's a line said by
The other FBI agent.
right, who
Yeah.
said, "Yeah, give me
Who
your
said-
weapon."
Yeah.
who's gone off.
Well, he knew he was crazy.
Gone off his
Yeah, he's
rocker.
crazy.
Anyway, he kills. Talking about Richard. Richard shoots
Maybell.
Maybell.
On accident. Poor Mabel.
Yeah.
We all knew that the failures or the
Daughters would switch.
that the daughters would switch and that they'd both be kind of the undoings.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Chalky's even going to get to the place to blame Richard and therefore blame Nucky. I don't even think it gets there. It just seems like something that.
Because ultimately, it's still Narcisse's fault.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I just
And
think
ultimately, Narcisse is going to be the more.
Yeah.
Chalky's depressed, sad, and he'll be angry. Narcisse is going to be furious because Nucky betrayed him to get him shot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very obvious.
Narcisse will figure that out because he's
Narcisse
smart.
is going to figure that out right away.
No.
He knows it already.
Well, okay. Both these guys. So when you talk about Chalky's lost his daughter, violent, seeing red.
Mm-hmm.
Now flip the switch. Let's talk about Narcisse meeting with J. Edgar Hoover. And he has to be absolutely violent to see this guy who has always been more or less, he's always been in control 99% of the time. And even when he wasn't in control, he still has pride. Then he was like a tough guy. But this was the first time we saw his balls clipped.
Yeah.
Basically. And that to me is going to make a guy like that beyond violent.
Yeah. So dangerous.
And rageful.
So a couple things. We know earlier in this episode, Hoover refers to Garvey's appeal. He's talking about the appeal of Marcus Garvey. So I gotta be careful how I talk about this because technically this could be a historical spoiler too. And I'm shocked because I thought for sure this storyline was going to end tonight, but I think it's going to go on. So Garvey was, he wasn't the hustler that Narcisse is. He never did anything wrong in the traditional sense. So the feds couldn't get him. So what they finally got him on, they arrested him for mail fraud charges concerning a ship line that he had set up for Libyans, as Narcisse would call them, but for black people to get back to Africa on a ship called the Black Star Line. And how he funded this whole project was people would buy like stock almost to get on board. And the feds got him for the ownership. He never really owned the Black Star Line or whatever. So anyways, the feds arrested him. It was appealed. And I can't tell you what ends up happening, but I can tell you that I was so shocked to see Narcisse succumbing basically to Hoover's demand that he become a spy for the very man that he idolizes and worships, and buys into his ideologies, and now he's, like you said, balls are clipped, and you're gonna have to turn on him.
And when
with the threat of immigration, I'll say that. I can say that.
It's almost seemed like Hoover was admitting that the other guy wasn't
a pimp and what's it?
You are. He said
Peddler.
you sir, know, are a pimp and a peddler.
Yeah.
Like, don't play
like you're the same.
Right.
You're not the same.
You're not. It's that other guy. He's anti-American, so we're gonna nail him for that. But you're a pimp and a peddler.
Yep.
And he is.
He is. He is. He can.
He's masquerading and he's rationalizing and he's beating women. I mean,
and killing them.
Right.
And hence why he kind of knew he could
great quote
give
there.
him this option to turn.
Great quote. Truth is what those in power wish it to be. Isn't that accurate?
Yeah, and you're right, Kevin. This is the first time we've seen Narcisse truly without power. Even though a part of me actually, maybe I'm being naive, I thought that he would just get deported. I really did. Because if you really buy into, and this is maybe why we know ultimately he's a big, big fraud in every way. Maybe this whole season, I've thought that he really was struggling with the duality of his roles, pimp and peddler versus black nationalist. At the end of the day, we know which side he goes on, and not with a lot of hesitation. It didn't really seem like a difficult choice.
Why did he say, "I'm a follower of Christ"?
That's a good question.
I mean, is he a follower of Christ, or was he trying to disarm Hoover?
I can tell you that Christian principles underlie all of this stuff, this whole nationalist movement.
And I mean, he's quoted the Bible so much.
Yeah, I mean, that's his theology.
And I guess it's
Yeah.
okay because he probably sees Jesus as black.
Of course.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just interesting. Like, I think the part he has so much though on his peddler pimp side that's still keeping him there. Like, not only he wants to find daughter, that's still a thing. I'm sure he wants revenge now, not only on Chalky but also
on Nucky.
Like,
I think on everybody, on Hoover. This guy is gonna be.
Yeah.
He's gonna be unglued, like we said, just the same way.
Yeah, but look at the the price though. Like, you're gonna have to rat out Marcus Garvey. That's a big deal.
Right.
I mean, people understand. Most people don't, like, you'll say Martin Luther King or Malcolm X, and no, they don't know Marcus Garvey. At one point in time, led the biggest black movement this country's ever seen. Movement. Big deal historically. So that's huge.
I was going to talk about what I think is going to happen with Narcisse, but we'll talk about them in predictions. So Richard takes a bunch of bullets, and just the way they edited.
It looked like one bullet.
What's that? One bullet, but then they kept shooting at him, but no one hit him. Okay.
I think
maybe.
it was the one hit. But
And that bothered you, was one bullet. Sorry. That's all it takes is one, baby.
And it was right there.
I'm not saying that. I totally believe that someone can get killed by one bullet. I just find it interesting that in the same episode, we see an old man get hit by.
I know, but what you can't
4
fight
to
with history
5.
if that's what happened. I'm sure that's what happened.
I'm not saying that. I just think it's interesting. I'm not saying it's wrong.
All right.
I'm not saying that.
So
anything like that.
Let's just talk about the fact that Richard bleeds out, and great editing, and we see what looks like his home that has his sister's new husband, baby, and then Tommy, and the father-in-law, and the wife, and Richard's approaching. But the way they edited it was like
very dreamlike,
black screen. Then it was to the shot. And we see Richard with the mask on, which, by the way, he doesn't wear glasses. It's just, to keep just to keep his face on. And then when we see, we cut back to him, and it's his regular face, just handsome, Richard Harrow before whatever happened in World War I. And then we know, like, okay, he's just clearly, and then we see an amazing close up of the face, his mask, whatever you want to call it, and then him sitting, lying sitting against a pier, I think, and then that great wide shot, and yeah, we know he bled out and he died.
And it seemed like he had like the single tear, and it was the profile of just his good side. We never.
It's so bad, and and as I was saying, why would they do this? Eboni had a theory, and I think you're right, Eboni.
Yeah, I was like, clearly, we know this character is fabulously played by Jack Houston, and he must just be about to do a million movies. He that has to be it, because there's no way I think they write off such an impactful character. I think it just must be that he just can't do it.
Has too many
anymore.
obligations. Let's hope. Let's really hope that that's the reason.
Yeah.
Great guy. I've said it in previous episodes. I bumped Marie he was on Extra one time, and I had no idea who it was because he's a very handsome guy. He looks nothing like Richard Harrow. And I found out at the last minute we talked about the role and how much he loves doing it. And I do think he's got a long future. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. He's but it's not going to be the same. I'm the one that didn't care that Jimmy died. I was fine with it.
I was fine with that too.
This one stinks. Yeah, that's a bummer.
Because now, really, other than I think maybe Chalky, but at this point, Chalky's different.
And I'm worried about Chalky. Chalky's not Chalky, exactly.
That's right. Chalky's going to be different, so I don't know who.
He's going to be, but I still think that.
The only person I'm clinging to is Willie.
Well, because I was going to say, I didn't know who Nucky could trust now that Richard's gone, but I guess maybe Willie. Yeah. That must be who they're lining up.
They did line him up. I mean, he kind of. He's been, and they've been preparing us kind of for that for the past.
We'll talk in predictions
season.
about it. Do we have catches of the week from Mike August?
Oh, we do have catches of the week from last week. Give me 1 second, folks. Thank you, Mike August, by the way, for always sending these in.
Ugh, tough episode.
So
I just had a moment to reflect. Like Nucky's lost like his two most confident side people.
He lost Eddie.
He lost Eddie, and now you lost Richard.
Richard came back to him at the end, and they could have. There was more to explore with their relationship.
Yeah.
And you know what? It must be movie star time.
Gotta be movie star time.
What do you got, Sarah?
All right. Okay. So last week's title, which I think I'm going to pronounce wrong, it's Harvey?
Harvey La Grace.
Harvey La Grace was a primary town on the eastern route of the Underground Railroad in Maryland, and slaves passed through to reach freedom into Pennsylvania. The town was a candidate to be named the U.S. capital and was ultimately lost to a close post, obviously, to D.C. There was a sound of a train in the background when Chalky was talking to daughter Maitland outside, which may have been placed there as an homage to this. Of course, also symbolized her leaving in the later episode. So just bringing to us, we talked a lot about what this area was representing, what the title represents. So the historical significance, the train significance, also the symbolic significance. What is freedom? How to get away from all of this?
I'll also add, I watched the inside stuff on HBO Go, and Harvey, that the phrase can also be translated into haven of grace.
And
literally.
She say that at
I
one
think
point
she does say that at some point in the episode, and so the notion that a mentor's house was to be a safe haven for them, much like the houses on the actual Underground Railroad. So interesting.
Furthermore, this one's to you, Kevin.
All right.
With your love of the number 3 and mention of Trinities,
Right.
you wanted to point out that Jillian had fleur-de-lis on her dress last episode, which is made up of 3 flower petals. Also, it's in symbolism, in literature. The fleur-de-lis was branded on people to identify them as criminals. It was one example of this was in the 3 Musketeers. It's also used by the Boy Scouts, which has been in the past of Boardwalk episodes. So just adding on to your love of 3s in this show, putting it out there. One contrast he did want to point out was an eerie, he says, when Jillian said, "I am free" to Roy earlier, just to have him put her back in jail. And he also mentions it's crazy for her to have been pulled from one hell of heroin into another, which is a prison sentence.
Right.
Finally, or one of the other things, I have like 50 options on here from Mike August, you guys. Honestly, I think we'll just have to like post them in the comments or something, because there's just so much. He talks about the albatross, how this is getting pulled in. He talks about when Jillian asked about Roy about his future home, he replied, "It's smaller than what you have now." Just the subtext of the fact that this is what you have now, but you will be going to prison. It foreshadowed through the whole episode of their relationship. Also, there were more nautical and navigator references, which are things we've encountered earlier in this season. One being Nucky granting permission to come on board at the Albatross, and the other one when Roy saying smooth sailing. So just their constant repetition of imagery and symbolism, not through each episode, but through the entire arc of the show. Good nods, good catches. There's great. Many, many more. But I think we have to go on.
Okay, so let's move into predictions for next season.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Well, that final montage was playing, sung by Daughter Maitland, and I felt
Keven was so happy.
And you know what? This was one that I thought was good. This was very organic to me. The song was great. It set a great mood. I like the fact that now she went from singing in this white in the house, black on the stage, to black in the house.
Juke joint. She's at a juke joint.
Juke joint.
Yep.
More to her grassroots. Probably better move, right?
Much better move. Much safer.
Right.
Less stakes. You owe less.
Does Chalky know where she is?
I don't think so. Do you think so, Keven?
No,
I thought he was faking the whole time.
Yeah. Because she just left in the middle of the night, right? But anyway, we see a lot happen. One of the things, Margaret moves in. Rothstein gets her place.
Apartment.
Yeah. Van Alden picks up Eli, which is crazy. We talked about that. This is a wild prediction, but with Hoover around, I don't know if Narcisse is going to be our biggest villain.
Well, his power's been almost stripped. I mean, at this point, it's not. And the feds, I mean.
He might not be. Oh, keep going.
Well, I was going to say, it's just not much. You don't have a lot of wiggle room with the feds. I know that from personal experience.
Well,
you just don't.
I have hated him. You know, Jeff Wright's a great actor. It's a great character, but I've hated him like I hated Jip. I want him dead. But when he was so badly emasculated by Hoover, I felt bad for him. When Hoover called him a pimp and a peddler, no, I was fine with that. But
when he made him call him sir,
yes, yeah. When it came down to that, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if they won't redeem him, but I don't know. Will they make him more gray? Will they give us a reason to root for him at some point, or will there be other people worse than him we want to see killed before him?
That might happen. I think he'll just end up getting deported ultimately.
I think that while he's not going to be the biggest villain, I still think he's just going to be a really big threat. He has a lot of, you know what I mean?
100%.
He's controlled, but he's a threat.
He's 100% going to be. But I wonder how far he'll go to play ball with the FBI, or will he, at the last minute, be good to his cause? Will he be a peddler and a pimp, or will he be a doctor?
It depends how quickly he can get his goals accomplished.
Gotcha.
Yeah, his goals now, though, are tied with the hands of Hoover. And we got to know that Chalky's just going to be just out for blood for him. I mean, that's just going to be insane.
Chalky's got a new army.
Yep.
Back to the grassroots. He's back. He's out in the woods.
And now he almost has nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, he has the rest of his family.
He has the rest of his family,
but yeah, he's going to be pretty pissed off. And I still think that him and Nucky are going to work it out.
Possibly so. And I just want to say, I think Jillian's going to end up having a lot of sex with these prison guards, and somehow that's going to get her
because
out.
That's right, because you see the prison guard was chirping away at her.
Yeah. That's going to happen, and she's going to get out early, and we'll see more of her.
Chalky and Nucky are in a bad state for the whole next season, I think.
And maybe that's maybe next year's finale, they get together and save each other.
Something
and of course, we know
that's what I think.
Capone's going to rise to power, and that's going to be very bloody.
And Willie will be the new right hand for Nucky. Is that what we think? Yeah.
Consigliere, probably. Yeah, it looks like it. And I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see Eli.
And we're getting a woman battle at some point.
Yeah.
We have to get.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we have to get
Richard's wife
versus girl.
Yeah.
Richard's wife against Jillian.
Someone.
All right.
Rest in peace, Richard.
Yeah, I know.
sad.
Thank you.
It's okay. He's gonna do a movie, guys.
Yeah,
no,
we'll see him on the
and
big
thank you,
screen.
Mr. Houston, for your work.
Amazing.
Fantastic. Thank you to Terrence Winter,
Yes.
Tim Van Patten,
Yep.
everyone else, obviously Buscemi, who you were admitting tonight, Ebony.
Yeah, that I would absolutely go on a date with Steve Buscemi.
You'd fall-
More so than Michael Pitt.
Then Michael Pitt. Yeah, and you know what? Smart girl.
Yep, he's amazing.
Talent, baby. Very attractive.
So amazing.
Ebony, how do I find you?
At Ebony_K on Twitter or www.ebonykwilliams.com.
Nice.
Sarah?
I am here at AfterBuzz TV. I'm also on a podcast called Anatomy of a Movie.
Anatomy of a Movie. And you know
Anatomy
what?
of a Movie.
I saw Nebraska, and I want to do I want to be on Anatomy of a Movie for Nebraska.
Both of you, come
I
join
was
us.
very inspired. No, and you said you.
I want to do a Dallas
Buyers Club.
Buyers Club.
Okay, so you guys will see us
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
Anatomy of a Movie at Undergaro, and I think same thing for Undergaro for Twitter. Steven, thank you very much.
Thank you, Steven.
And everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. You know, guys, the fan support this year was great. It really
was
helped us a
amazing.
lot, and we look forward to your final comments for this season.
You guys are wonderful.
Yeah, and
I'm
we'll
going to miss you guys.
Yeah, we'll miss you too. And I know we'll be back next year.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Sarah Stretton.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.